Welcome to History According to Joel. I'm your host, Joel Nelson. If you're like me, a teacher, and you want some more material to give your students to go along with this video, please click on the link to my Teachers Pay Teachers account in the description of the video or on my channel. In this episode, we're taking a look at historical terms that are used to analyze and evaluate the past. Starting with scope and sequence. Scope is usually a reference to what time period you are studying. It can also be a location. When you're studying history, you want to make sure that you define your start and end date, because then your project or your paper can get too big where you're talking about events that occurred well before the time you actually wanted to study or well after. You also want to refrain from going outside of a certain physical geographic scope, because then you can start talking about topics, issues, people groups, or what have you that are not really related to what you want to research or write about. The next topic that we need to discuss, next term, is sequence. Sequence refers to the order of events that you are covering. It's important for you as the author of whatever you're making to know the exact order of events, because sometimes we get stuck into the theme that we're following. I'm going to use the Marvel MCU from Captain America to Endgame. Now, that would be my scope. Captain America being the first one, Endgame being the last one. Now, even though Captain America the movie did not come out first, it was Iron Man, it is first in the overall timeline that Jon Favreau and all of the producers and writers of the recent Marvel movies created. These movies did not come out in order according to the timeline. So if I were to put them in sequence, where we start with the actual linear timeline, it would go something like this, right? Captain America followed by Captain Marvel, and then of course ending with Endgame. When you're analyzing your own source, when you are creating your own paper or project, it's important to keep in mind, even though the theme might take you in different places, even though you might write about certain topics within your subject that don't really have to do with the large arc, it's important to constantly bring your reader back to the solid timeline and make sure your events are in the correct sequence. So that way our readers, our viewers, what have you, can actually follow along with your train of thought. The next thing we need to take a look at is primary source. This is where you gather most of your information. This is a source that is from the event you are studying. It could be a journal, it could be a photograph, a video, a speech. Any of these are perfectly good primary sources. Now, a good research paper, a good project will actually be based mostly on these sources. If you're relying on the next one, which is a secondary source, you're relying on the words of someone else who did the research. Now, they may have done really good research. However, you're relying on their opinion, their analysis, and their evaluation to make your argument if you're writing an argumentative paper or to build your narrative. With secondary sources, these are things like textbooks, documentaries, anything that somebody created well after the event or right after the event, and they were not there. When you are analyzing your sources, it's important for you to keep track of the author's bias. Now, bias, for the official definition, this is prejudice for or against someone or something, usually with no real evidence to back it up. Primary sources, these individuals that create these, they have to intentionally decide to write down the thoughts that they had, write down the words of someone else, or take the photograph or shoot the video of a specific event. Now, they are limited by their own perspective. So for you evaluating what they've recorded, you should also look at why they chose to record whatever it is that they did, whatever it is they saw. And then you need to understand, is this intentional? Maybe it's an accident. Does that relate to maybe their background? And then how does this bias affect the way we perceive this event? Every source you use will have bias. So it's important that you spend some time to think, what is missing in the source? What is highlighted in the source? For me, I'm a huge Nebraska football fan. If I were to write a book that is the history of college football, I will probably be more inclined to include Nebraska history more than, say, obscure programs, at least in my view, this would be my bias, obscure programs like South Dakota State. Now, that doesn't mean that they did not contribute to the overall development of college football or were important to the overall development of the sport. But me coming from my perspective as a fan of a specific team means I'm probably going to give them more airtime, more credence, or even credit without even knowing it, without mentioning these other programs. So when you're analyzing a source, it could be as simple as something you like or something the author likes prevents you or the reader from actually seeing the whole perspective. This goes to our next term, compare and contrast. Now, a good research paper will then take those biases and then compare and contrast them with between sources. Comparing is simply telling me, how are these sources the same? Or if you go beyond your source analysis, how are these events in history the same? And then, of course, contrast, how are they different? A good research paper, a good project, or just general understanding of history will be able to compare and contrast all of these different events, all of these people that we can study within our course. Similarities and differences are very easy to find when you're comparing two events. And of course, as Mark Twain said, history may not repeat itself, but it does rhyme. Next term, cause and effect. This is the crux of historical arguments. It is the basis for all of really the study of history. What event causes another, or what events create other events? It's important for you within your papers, within your projects, to make sure that you are articulating for your audience how one event leads to another. It's easy to lay out maybe the order of events, but to draw those connections for any viewer or reader is really on the author. So you need to make sure it's easy for me, if I'm reading your paper, to follow your train of thought by telling me the cause, telling me the effect as part of your larger argument. When evaluating historical events, you encounter two types of questions for the most part. One of those is a to explain question. Explaining simply means make clear the information that you've read, wording it in a way that fits to our time or to the main point you're trying to make. To analyze is the second type of question usually people answer. Analysis is where your opinion comes in. It's when you explain the source and then tell me, how does that source prove your point? Analysis is an opinion, but it's largely based on fact. Well, there you have it. Historians use scope and sequence, bias, secondary, primary sources, comparing, contrasting, cause and effect, all to study and evaluate the past. They answer our questions that we have or questions they may have, either explaining or analyzing what took place. This episode is just one of 3 discussing historical terms that are used when researching in history. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you liked it or you want to see more videos, please hit subscribe to my channel. That's History According to Joel.